Welcome back to video number 2. So I've got my ring. I'm now going to, it doesn't have to be too long, this piece of thread, but it does need to be long enough to make my cross pieces. And I'm going to make a bouquet of flowers. So I'm going to push my needle, and at this stage the needle needs to be sharp enough that I can go through my ridge of my buttonhole stitches. Now some people have the ridges, let me show you on this one, they bring the ridge of the buttonhole stitch from the outside to the inside. Some people like it on the outside and they work into that. It's purely up to you what you do. And I have got a knot, oh horror, but I will cover that knot over. Now I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to actually wrap around this time. I don't want that to move, so I'm going to go through a stitch over there. So my needle needs to be sharp enough that it will go through my ridge of my buttonhole stitch, but it's big enough, the eye's big enough that I can actually get my thread through. And I'm actually using the perlé again here, but you can then start to use up all your little bits of embroidery thread at this stage. I'm going to wrap around because I quite like that look. I'm actually going to go around twice there, because sometimes you can actually go round the rim, as in this one. You can work into the rim to make a little scene. I don't know how well that's showing, but you can do, that's meant to be like little sheep or daisies on the hill there. So you carry on doing your cross threads like that until you've got as many as you think looks right. You could draw yourself a little design if you like, or just keep working till it feels right. Now I've done the cross threads here in a light brown, and then I'm using a darker brown, and I want to make these look a bit more like gnarled branches, a bit like willow branches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my buttonhole ridge, and then I buttonhole around one or two of my cross threads to make them look like branches. I'm going to go through those two there. And there's no wrong or right way. And the great thing is about it, if you don't like what you've done, you can unpick it and you can start again. Oops, or drop it down there like that. So buttonhole stitch or blanket stitch, whatever you want to call it, is really useful for making, sort of giving the branches a little bit of definition like that. When you've done that, I'm now going to change onto a bouquet of flowers. You can use up all your little embroidery threads again by embellishing. What I've done here is I've done some cross threads to make it look like the stems, or it could be the base of a basket. And I've woven in and out, over, under to make the top there of the bouquet. I've now got some embroidery thread and I'm going to do a little French knot. Now, if you don't know how to do French knots, look online and there's lots of examples, lots of sites showing you. I wrap my thread around at least twice. I try and go back down the same hole that I came up, and this is meant to look like a little rose. There you go, a little bouquet of roses. I don't know how well that's showing. And I would just go on embellishing there until it looks like, let's have a look, that one there, a bit like that, or this one. There you go, there's a nice little basket. And what I did there was I wove into the basket as well. If you have seed beads, the very small beads, you can use those. And I don't know where I put them to show them to you. Here we go. There we are. If you have those, you can use that some of your seed beads. But for beading, you will need to have a beading needle. But please don't worry about any of these things. You will also need to have invisible thread if you're going to use the beading needles. If you haven't got that, then honestly, they're just as lovely using just embroidery threads. And I know lots of us have little bits of thread somewhere in our work baskets. That one is just meshed up at the back. I call it meshed up. And then just lots and lots of French knots all the way around it. And again, think of your colour combinations. If you want to give it as a gift, they make lovely gifts because you can pop them in a card really easily. And if you would like a kit, basic kit, I do have some. I can get some more. And you get the ring, you get the little badge back. And if you could tell me if you want to do something like a posy or a tree, I can put some thread in for you if you haven't got any thread. But I know lots of you have lots of pieces of, lots of little samples of thread somewhere. So enjoy, and I'll put up the more details on the WhatsApp group, and you can ask me any questions or contact me via the WhatsApp group. Thank you. Bye.